Today we're going to be taking a look at some more 2022 and 2023 motorcycle, scooter, ATV, and side-by-side news, but this time around we're not covering an announcement that just took place, but instead talking about what's going to be announced over the next couple of months. But before we dive into that, if you haven't checked out some of my previous videos on the latest new announcements and what's coming down the pipeline for 2022, 2023, and so on, after you finish this one, go check some of them out as we may have already covered what you're looking for, or you may find something else that's interesting. Enough rambling though, let's get into what we can expect American Honda to release over the next couple of months. We'll start first with the off-road four-wheeled segment, and in February we'll see Honda roll out their 2022 multi-purpose side-by-side lineup, which includes the Pioneer 700 and Pioneer 1000 models. Plus we'll see Honda roll out their new sport side-by-side lineup for 2022, and if you'd like to get a sneak peek look as to what changes are coming down the pipeline for both the Pioneer and Talon models, check out the video I posted about a week ago, and I'll throw a link in the top corner and below as well. I originally said we were looking at January for that announcement, but as with anything these days, it's always subject to change. Then to finish off the four-wheeled models, we have Honda's 2022 Sport ATV announcement, and fingers crossed we see something more than just the 2022 Honda TRX 250X. Call me crazy, but who else would almost have a heart attack seeing Honda finally revive the TRX 400X and TRX 450R models, and maybe something else thrown in there to spice things up. I'm not saying that's happening by any means, but just wishful thinking and dreaming on my end, as I'd love to grab a new 450R. Now we're down to the two-wheeled models for February, and what can we expect? Well, I can't get specific on each model, but what we'll do is talk about the class of bikes being announced, and then I'll show you what bikes Honda throws into that class, if you catch my drift. We'll see some models in Honda's standard class announced, and in that category, there are only a few that you can see here that haven't already had their 2022 model year release. Well, technically they have, and we've already talked about it in past videos, but American Honda hasn't announced them yet. That would be the 2022 Honda CB500F and 2022 CB650R models, and hopefully we see the return of the CB1000R Black Edition, but it may be on the chopping block. Then we jump out of the standard segment and into the sports segment for February's announcement, and we open up to the 2022 CBR500R, to which we've already covered the changes on in past videos, as well as the 2022 CBR650R. Then we have the red-headed stepchild, also known as the CBR300R, that hasn't gotten any love in quite some time now. Will Honda finally update the platform so it's not lagging behind its cousin, the CB300R, when it comes to certain features? Or will it return with new colors and graphics instead of just one option like last year? Personally, I'd love to see American Honda bring over the CBR250RR to replace the 300R, but that won't happen as they wouldn't be able to sell that bike for anywhere near what the 300R cost, and it'd be creeping up on the CBR500R's price. So in the grand scheme of things, we need an updated CBR300R, but we also need this smaller CBR to be affordable and not creep up over that $5,000 price point that it's knocking on right now. And to give you an idea as to where we started, when the CBR250R rolled out in 2011, it was $39.99, and then when it morphed into the 300R back in 2015, it was $43.99. But what do you guys think Honda should do with the current CBR300R platform? Then, last but not least, on remaining sport models that still need to have their 2022 model year released is the CBR1000RR Fireblade SP, and fingers crossed, we finally see the standard RRR here in the States. If you haven't checked out the new changes to the 2022 RRR models yet, I'll throw a link to one of my past videos where we covered it all below. And now let's jump over to what we might see in March. First up is the miniMOTO lineup, and can you guess which one that might include, as it's the only one that hasn't had its 2022 model year release yet? A model that had its first year rollout pretty much ruined here in the States thanks to this Rona mess. But yeah, we might finally see the 2022 Honda Trail 125 announcement that everyone has been waiting for. Or will Honda call it a 2023 now because of all the delays? Plus, we might also see the 2023 Honda Grom 125 released, and if you think it might be too early for that, they announced the 2022 in March of 2021. I know, Honda makes things confusing sometimes with their timelines on model year announcements, as they don't always make sense, but that's Honda for you. Will we see any changes to the 2023 Grom? Doubtful, as it went through its big overhaul last year, but there's a possibility we'll see some new colors thrown in the mix, and hopefully they'll drop the SP scheme, so those of us with one will feel a little more special. Now we move over to the scooter lineup, and the only 2022 that has yet to be announced is the 2022 Honda PCX, that is also known as the PCX 160 in other corners of the world. It used to be called a PCX 150 here in the States, but when Honda bumped the displacement up the last time, American Honda dropped the number from its name. Then we move over to off-road bikes, and this time around we could see the new 2023 Honda CBR500R and other CBR450 models too. Then we head over to the dual sport motorcycles, and the only 2022 model years that have yet to be announced are the CBR300L models that include the standard and rally version, as well as the dinosaur, also known as the XR650L, unless we see its extinction this year. And next up, we move over to Honda's Adventure segment, and the only one that has yet to be announced so far for 2022 is the highly anticipated 2022 Honda CB500X. And why is everyone pumped about this bike? Well, that's why you should be subscribed to this channel, as we talked about the 2022 Honda CB500X changes, as well as its siblings updates with the 2022 CBR500R and CB500F models about 5 months ago. And those are the segments and some of the models that we'll see announced over the next couple of months. Which model or class announcements have you the most excited? And which possible all-new model introduction into a certain segment are you hoping to see released? Let me know what you guys think about it all down in the comment section, and I'll be joining in on the conversation too. But that's a wrap for this one, guys. Thanks again for watching and supporting all of this. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. First up is the mini.